Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to episode number 317 of the Mailright Show. We're really lucky to have Brandon Wise for the first time on the show. He is the founder and chief cook and bottle washer of the incredible Wise Agent. So without any further ado, Brandon, why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about who you are, and if you feel like it, what Wise Agent is.
Yeah, sure. So as Robert said, I am the CEO, the founder, and the janitor here over at Wise Agent. We everyone here is still a small company. We all play many roles, but really, what Wise Agent is all about. It's a CRM platform. So the CRM is for contact relationship management, but then we also include all the marketing tools like drip campaigns and newsletters and flyers, and then all the transaction management side where you've got your checklist and document storage. Put it all together in a very easy to use platform, and then we back it up with amazing customer support. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, we actually answer the phone, which is something that definitely sets us apart from most other technology companies.
So you say you do all of that and you pick up the phone.
Yeah.
I'm impressed already. All right. The producer of the show, the founder of the show is John. I oftentimes give him a big wind up, but today I'm going to change it up and say, John, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself to the audience?
I'm very appreciative with that kind of minor intro. It's much more like it. Yeah, I'm the founder of Mailright. We are a WordPress-centric company. We produce websites for you that you own, you're not leasing, and we got a host of other marketing tools that will help you with your digital online marketing. Back over to you, Robert.
Awesome. And I'm a 16-year real estate vet of the real estate industry, and I focus on SEO. Yeah, I have a website too, inboundrem.com. If you want to check me out. With no further ado, we're going to jump right into it with Brandon. One of the first questions that we asked, and certainly one of my burning questions, and John had the question as well, is how do you feel? What is happening in the digital landscape of lead generation today? How do you feel like the lead generation industry is doing as a whole? Like, what are your thoughts?
Well, yeah. So lead gen, we've seen a lot of change going on. A lot of the systems are kind of changing their models from just selling the leads to now for a set price to now saying, hey, we'll give you the leads, but we want a piece of a cut of the transaction fees. So just changing models we're seeing. But I just got back from the NAR, National Association of Realtors big event, their big show, annual show in San Diego, and there was a lot of different new lead gen companies popping up, and you saw the old ones there, and then the conversations, they would range anywhere from talking to people that, hey, I'm using your landing pages to generate my own leads off of running them on social media and Facebook, and I'm done buying leads from others. And then you had people on the other side saying, I'm just blowing it up by buying all my leads from X, Y, and Z different companies and running them through the system to help convert those leads into clients. So either way, wherever they're getting their leads, the one thing that everyone agrees on is it still matters. How do you handle the leads when they come in? How fast are you getting back to them? And what's your messaging? And how consistent are you in getting those messages across? But yeah, there's a lot more choices, I guess, for the lead gen, anywhere from generating your own to buying them from all different kinds of setups, depending on if you want to buy them in bulk or you want to buy them one-on-one, or get them free and pay when you close the transaction.
Do you have anything? I'm sure that, like me, you probably have your fair share of conversations with real estate professionals. When somebody asks you for a piece of advice as it relates to lead generation, what do you tell them?
Well, so yeah, I love having the conversations with the realtors out there, and it's kind of what we do, and listen to them, and that's how we've built our platform to be so good, is actually listening to our members. But yeah, my advice is absolutely whichever style of lead you're getting, you've got to have a plan in action before you start getting the leads in on what are you going to do with them. So if you're a single agent, you're going to have a whole different set of rules and how you're going to plan to handle those leads than if you've got a whole team where you've got dedicated people able to work on it. But either way, I think a big key, number one, is that wherever your leads are coming from, you want to be able to automatically and immediately get those things to drop into your CRM, whether they come in when you're sitting at the desk or if you're out showing houses. You shouldn't have to worry about doing import, export, or copying and pasting, leads off of anything else. You should be able to open your CRM as soon as you get in and see all the leads that have come in since the last time you opened that system. And then taking that a step further, they shouldn't just be dropping into your CRM. You should pre-think out, hey, when the leads come in from this lead source, how do I want to handle it? What am I going to do? What are the steps I'm going to take to get those leads to convert from just a lead to actually being a client? And they're going to be different ways. So for instance, if you're using one of a landing page to capture leads at your open house, instead of having the leads that are walking through your open house sign in on a piece of paper, you might want to have a landing page where they're signing in on an iPad or a laptop. You can ask them more questions. You don't have to, but as soon as they hit the button after they sign in, that's going to be a lead. And that's going to be totally different than if you're buying a lead from, say, realtor.com. How do you want to talk to those? So your system should automatically, before you ever hold that open house, you should decide, okay, any of the leads I get today, what do I want to happen to those leads that are coming in? So immediately as they hit that button, I want to send them an email saying, hey, thank you for coming into my open house. And then that night, I might want to have an automatic text message fire off, thanking them again and seeing if I can help them. And then follow it up with several days of tips and emails and text messages without me even thinking about it. Or it could be alerting me to call them on the phone. And that can be something totally different than the leads I'm buying from offline from a lead generator that I'm actually paying for the leads. And the cool thing about Wise Agent and probably some of the other CRMs is that you can use it to do split test or A/B testing. So you can decide exactly what do you want to do when these leads come in, and you can run different ways. So I'm doing something different with my Zillow leads compared to my Realtor.com leads, and see which method works best for converting more leads, and then kind of switch over to that. Long answer.
Okay. All right. So it sounds like most of your conversations with agents, when you start talking about lead generation, you stay away from any particular commentary about how they're generating the lead for the most part, and start talking to them about speed to lead and things like that. Is that basically that? That's what I'm taking from all your comments.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I do. It seems like there's different people have different ideas on how they want to get the leads, or what they're comfortable with, or how much they can afford. And so usually by the time I'm talking to them, they've figured out where their business is coming from, or where their leads are coming from at least. And so that's where we take it is, okay, now you've got the leads, let's help you get those converted into actual clients.
Got you. All right. That was extremely helpful. So John, why don't you go ahead and I'm getting an echo. John, why don't you go ahead and get the next question?
Yeah, sure. Brendan, how do you? I'm not sure if you're going to if this is the kind of right question, but have you struggled with these expectations of agents around your product? Because it's excellent value for what you offer, but I personally have struggled with the expectations of agents, or some of them, a minority of them. Like you can set up all these automated processes, but in the end, it's about getting yourself in front of somebody and having a conversation with them fundamentally. And
Sure.
Wise Agent can't do that. It can help get to that stage, but you still... Is that making any sense? And how do you deal with expectation?
Yeah, sure. I mean, and we always go back to the basics. What we're hearing a lot of the coaches in the industry talking about, and and actually picking up the phone and having conversations is a huge piece of it. So we try to set the expectations of, say, the lead management system. The expectation is that it's going to drip on them, and it's gonna keep your name and your face in front of them to get going. But you have to be playing an active role and doing your part too. And part of the drip campaigns, it might be, hey, send them an email as soon as they leave, a text message an hour later, and then schedule that phone call for 7 o'clock that evening. So you can put the phone calls or the stop bys, pop bys, whatever you want to call it, actually in part of the drip campaign. But then to get the agents to actually do it, yeah, of course, that's a whole nother challenge. But I think when we set them up, they understand they've got to play an active role, and it does, to build a relationship, it is human to human. We can definitely speed that process up and help a lot with some of the tools we offer. But I think most of them kind of understand, hey, you can't just automate the whole thing. And of course, there's definitely those that are like what you're kind of explaining. Think, hey, I should be able to pay for a CRM and then sit back and collect the money, but that's not reality.
Which is fair enough, Brendan. But was that a learning process for yourself about how you constructed or managed expectation of what wise agent could do? Did you have to find the internal process, the onboarding of people, and the management of expectation?
Sure. So I guess flipping it around, one of our expectations is, hey, if they're going to pay us every month, they're probably logging in and using all the features. And the reality is that's not what happens. So we take it a step further. And when someone registers for our system, we're kind of practicing what we preach. We need to start forming a relationship with them. So we're going to immediately reach out and try to schedule a time when we can do a one-on-one onboarding with them. And then in that onboarding, we're going to help them get their database in and go through the proper, get their leads coming in and set up their management system, set up their branding, and then try to get them scheduled for ongoing training. So it's kind of the same thing when an agent gets a lead in, they've got to have to take an active role of getting, having those conversations until they get them in the car and are driving them around, or get a listing appointment. And of course, now with the technology, it's getting a lot easier. We know text messaging has taken the lead to a whole different level, because obviously, as you know, as soon as you send a text message out, the majority of those are getting read in a really short time period. So it's got almost 100% open rate on the text messages that go out to convert leads, versus emails. People might have emails in there that they never open, or that go weeks without opening. But so if you can get text messaging as part of your lead conversion process, and then be active on it when you send out a text, be ready, because there's a good chance you're going to get a reply back. And we definitely set up some little tips and tricks. Like, if you use their name in the text message, you get a much higher level of or higher number of replies than if you don't use their name. So we're going to let you use their, automatically pull their first name, or pull where the lead came in, to make that conversation sound more real when I'm texting you back. And the same thing if you end the text message with a question. So if I'm texting Robert and say, hey, Robert, I saw that you were interested, or that you were looking at houses on my Facebook ad today, or you were interested in whatever I was giving. Can you talk now? I might get a reply back that says, no, I can't talk now, I'm at work. I just wanted to know, does that house have a pool in it? But at least it starts the conversation. And that's what we're going for with really all this conversion process is, hey, let's get an actual conversation started. And so then I think that's one of the things that technology is really helping them with, and making it a lot easier for them.
All right. I think it's time for us to go for our break, Robert.
All right, lovely. So, ladies and gentlemen, if wherever you're seeing us, watching us, listening to us, if you do John and I both a big favor, and either like or comment on your provider's platform, if it's offering you a review, we'd really appreciate it. we work really hard on the show. We're trying to give you lots of good value. And if for some reason we've missed the mark, we'd love to hear that too, so that John and I can take that, put our heads together and try to make a better show. With no further ado, we'll be right back with Brendan Wise and Jonathan. 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to episode number 317 of the Mailwright podcast. We're here with Brendan Wise of Wise Agent. He's been talking to us a lot about the CRM. John was in the middle of tossing him questions. John, were you done, or did you want me to pick it up, or did you have another question to add into the conversation?
Yeah, I just got one other, and then I'll throw it back over to you. So, Brendan, has it been, I think one of your main competitors has been Line Desk, really, in some ways. Obviously, you got your own unique spin on it. But has it been a difficult internal discussion about how much functionality you're going to put into Wise Agent, and where you have the boundaries where you're not going to introduce any more new functionality? Because would you agree that there probably is a point where it becomes too bloated, too feature rich, and it then becomes unwieldy to actually utilize them? Or is it just about just adding as much value to the platform as possible?
Yeah, I mean, we have those conversations all the time. I wouldn't agree that there is I mean, you can definitely get to a point where there's too much if you don't have the right user interface. If you've got the right design where everything's simple, I think you can add the feature, the tools that people want. And so, for instance, on ours, we like to really let you customize the experience. So we're the most integrated CRM out there, where we integrate with a lot of the other technology companies out there that we decided, hey, we don't want to take on that task, and these guys are already doing it great. So let's partner with those guys and let's build that system where it works inside the CRM, so they don't have to leave that platform, because that's really what people want. They don't want to be jumping from one system to another. So for instance, if you're talking about transaction management, you can use just our own system, or if you go choose, say, hey, I also use .loop or SkySlope or ZipLogix or Formplicity. We've already integrated with each one of those, and so when you turn it on, now when you're on your experience, you can use your .loop and create the transaction and get access to the forms without even going to .loop, right from the CRM. But if Robert doesn't use them, he doesn't have to look at it, So we're able to take care of adding a lot of features in that if it's not something you're going to use, you don't even have to see it. But if there's another section of members that hey, this is the big thing for us, then they have access to it. And so, of course, everything will get really clogged up and have too much in there if you don't have the right design. But I think with design, the right user interface, you're able to kind of handle those things. As far as what should go in, that's a whole nother discussion. And of course, every day being a CRM, we've got every technology company in the industry wanting to integrate with us. We just don't have there's not enough developer manpower to do them all. And so we kind of go with the ones that make sense. Absolutely. We listen to our members and what have they been calling, saying, hey, we've got to have this feature, we've got to have that feature. Then of course those are the ones that float up to the top. And then there's a lot of tech companies that a lot of the realtors haven't even seen, or they don't even know the features are out there yet. So that's when we see something interesting and we'll get that integrated and start promoting it. But we're always definitely aware of, hey, how can we fit this in so that it's not going to interfere with people that aren't going to use that piece, but we'll make it available to anyone that wants to, and then it'll have to flow with the rest of the system. And it's a challenge. We've been integrating with these other technologies for a long time. That was kind of one of the things we saw right away, that hey, this is going to make sense to start using these other tech companies and bring them in and partnering with them, where a lot of our competitors went and said, hey, we're integrated with them all too, but they just use a third party in the middle called Zapier or like a PySync, which works, but now you've got a third party in the middle, so you're never going to be able to have as good of an integration as if we go, straight to you and let our servers talk to each other. And then of course there's another problem point in the middle, and someone's going to have to pay for that third party technology that's in the middle of the other two. So
that's great. Over to you, Rob.
Well, first of all, I want to share a little story, this is one of the very first times I've ever run across this, which is kind of funny. But a long, long time ago, I'm talking like over a decade ago, when I was getting my start in real estate marketing, I was actually an account executive working for a company called Agent Image. I was still contracting with them, but mostly what I was doing is I was selling for them. And one of the guys that I got on the phone with that I always had a great relationship with, and we always talked about digital marketing, was Travis Tom. Do you remember Travis? Because
I definitely remember the name.
Okay, well,
I can't picture it right now.
He's on your YouTube channel. That's why I'm asking, because he's there.
Okay.
You did somebody did an interview with him, whether it was you or somebody else in your staff. But anyway, I see him here under the Wise Agent YouTube channel, and it kind of makes me laugh because he and I both had a lot of ideas and a lot of conversation. Not the least of them was about CRMs. And I want to say this was 10 years ago. And now here we are talking to the people making CRMs and having a completely different conversation with them. Anyway, I just thought it was funny. Sorry, everybody. I am somewhat curious. So you have a founder story on one of your channels, and I'm looking at your YouTube channel, and it goes back a couple of years, it looks like. Is that right?
Yeah.
No, 5 years. So 5 years ago is the very first post, and then you did a whole bunch of stuff 3 years ago, and then 2 years ago. A lot of stuff coming in the last couple of years. So did you build the CRM 5 years ago?
No, we actually we started building it in 2001. So we went live and had people on it in year 2002. So yeah, we've been out there for a long time. Kind of taken the very slow route of building it just from the ground up. We've done all the work in-house. Our developers are in-house here in Fountain Hills, Arizona is where we're based out of, and just built it over time. And you see the marketing picking up as we've built a marketing team in-house, and that was definitely something we did over the last few years, is why you've seen more YouTube.
Got you.
Okay. Lately,
Believe me,
same thing with our blog.
If there's going to be two guys that understand the concept of growing something the slow and dare I say painful way, it's going to be John and me. We get it. So I get it. So you've been around for a long, long time. You've been taking input. How often do you add features into your platform?
Where every month we have releases of new features, as well as upgrades that we've done to older features or add-ons to them. And then of course every week we're fixing bugs that pop up because of all the new features, and we're really, really active on that. We keep, we've got a lot of different ways that our members can reach out to us if they come across anything that needs to be, and if there's a bug, we jump on those right away. But yeah, new features, we're always rolling out new features, and you can kind of look through our blog and see all the different, and we write a nice blog and do a nice wrap up every time we release a new feature or do a new integration.
All right, so here's a question from one guy that's been doing this a long time to another guy that's been doing this a long time. I have my own opinions about things that are actually moving the needle inside the real estate marketing world. I'm kind of curious if you're going to take a single element of, so customer record management systems are all about managing the relationship with the customer. Technology in the last 18 years, I'm sure you would agree, has changed tremendously, a lot. But that doesn't mean that customer relation management has. There's just a lot of elements. The technology that we use to manage those relationships has changed. If you had to take a stab at saying what the number one biggest thing that you've noticed in customer relationship management in general in terms of technology, how has it impacted that dynamic? what would you say the one thing is, or the couple things are, that have really impacted customer relationship management software in general, not just yours, everybody's? Like, what's
Right.
the big thing that everybody's had to pivot to?
For one is going from just a CRM to now the CRMs have to be the full platform, and they have to include the marketing, the transaction. It's a full rounded system to that kind of is the one stop shop where they look for everything. But as far as what's really changed, over the years and continues on, I would have to say it's the automation of the process. So, for instance, in the past, when you got a lead, um, let's say it was even an internet lead, then you would have to start the process. If maybe you got an email address, who does that email address belong to? Did you get a first and last name? Where do they work? You're starting to be an investigator. Where now today, when someone puts in a partial lead of just an email address, it's going to run before it even hits in the CRM. Immediately, we scour the internet. We're returning all kinds of information, from the different social media. So a lot of times before they even click on the lead, they know what their first name, the last name, where they work, what their title is, and kind of in the notes, a whole system of what, whatever we could get out of LinkedIn or Facebook, so they get a big edge just on the automation before they even click the client, where before they were out scouring and trying to figure out what are these things. So you can even sometimes you even know their hobbies, and then it's linked to some of the social media, so I can see their last 3 tweets, so I kind of know what they're talking about right now is. And then, of course, the conversion process, being able to automatically start sending out text and email, and now the big thing that just getting back from the NAR conference, it was amazing how many people stopped by the booth with success stories on our AI bot. That's the artificial intelligence bot that's put in place to help convert leads. And this thing truly was mind blowing to hear it, and actually to see the conversations on their phones, how well they've worked. We had several people show us their success stories, but one guy in particular comes to mind that had come down to our booth, and he said, "Yeah, I've converted several leads, but I just got one. I was in a session upstairs, and your AI bot messaged me and said, 'Hey, this lady's ready to list her house. You need to take the conversation over.'" And he was showing me as he scrolled down, our bot has been talking to this lead since early October, and has been just text messaging back and forth. And then when he was in a session just last week in San Diego, he got the message from the bot saying, "Okay, they're ready to list their house," and he had named his bot Erica, I believe is what he said. So he turned the bot off, and then he took over the conversation, and he acted like he is the bot, and he said, "Hey, this is Erica. I'm going to have Jonathan give you a call. He takes care of all the listings in the office." And then he waited a minute, he picked up the phone, and he called and said, "Hey, this is Jonathan. Erica said I need to give you a ring." And the girl said, "Yeah, she's been great. We're ready to list our house as soon as you get back to town." So it was just a success story happening right at the booth with brand new technology helping to convert these leads. So
Gotcha.
that answers your question.
Um, that was a very robust answer. Thank you. I do have. I think that you're right. I think that AI and automation are ways that the customer relationship has changed. I think that the way that relationships and technology for a while was very confusing for most people because they didn't know how to use it. As we do get
Right.
more automated, a lot more of that really cool technology that's available for people gets layered into their tools, such as the CRM. The one thing
Right.
that you said, though, that I would like to humbly potentially disagree with, because I've watched this take place for the entirety of my 16-year career, and it's been a little bit frustrating. Every single agent, every single person that I talk to seems to say, we would just want one tool to do everything, one thing to do it all. My experience as a technologist, both as a person that's built technology tools, used technology tools, watched other people build technology tools, is that it is very rare for somebody to build an all-in-one tool and get every element of that tool like correct or do a really good job. It's also very expensive if you know anything about development at all. Trying to build a one-size-fits-all tool. And I'll give you a great example in my opinion. Structurally has done something really incredible with basically automating the text messaging process, creating all these really complex algos to have long conversations by text message. But they got investment. They had a leader that was focused on just that one problem. They had every single developer, every single team member focused on just that one problem. And in my opinion, they've come out ahead of everybody in that element, in that field, when it comes to just that one problem. Are they better or a better marketing company or a better CRM or a better anything? No, I don't think so at all. I just think they happen to be a very good text messaging service. So this thing where we all run.
Who are they? Who are they?
Huh?
Who are they?
We had them on the show, John.
Oh, I thought you didn't mention them. I don't think you mentioned them.
No, structurally, we literally had them on the show.
Yeah.
So I just think that there's too much of a rush to go to the one thing, and I've never taken a look at your platform, so I don't know what, I'm not making any comments to anybody that's listening to the show about Wise Agents or anything else. I'm just saying, as a general,
you don't know what you've missed, Robert. You just don't understand what you've missed. You haven't been to the Wise Agent platform.
That's correct.
How can Brendan forgive you?
If he's anything like you, not at all. No, I'm just kidding.
No, we're in festive mood. We better wrap up the podcast part of the show, and hopefully Brendan.
So I'll just comment back on it to your point, Robert. If you're using the structured platform to send text, where do you track it after that? What do you do next?
After you send the text, I don't know how robust their dashboard is.
I'll tell you. Because that's actually our partner. We are very good integrated partners with Structure, and that's good. So I'm not saying you have to build the whole platform and that anyone could, but you do need to have it all working in one place, because it would make no sense to turn on Structurally and then have to run over here and put it in a system and then have to go log into something else to set up a ongoing drip, and then go somewhere else to send out my newsletter, and then log into another after I get the listing, log in somewhere else to make a flyer. I could do it all, and that's how a lot of people do it. But if you have one place that you log in and everything is functioning together, whether we didn't build it all, we just integrating it to give you a better experience so that you don't have to log into 8 different platforms to run your business. So the fewer platforms that you can log in and still see. You can still use your SkySlope, but you don't have to log into SkySlope or Dotloop. You can do it right from within your CRM and have that better user experience. That was more my point.
That's and that I completely agree with. Creating an end-to-end experience, but letting other people build certain pieces of the end-to-end. That makes a lot more sense to me as a technologist. I don't pretend to be the best at every single damn thing that I look at, not even close. I'm hoping that there's somebody really creative out there that does it really well, and that I can integrate them into my process, which seems to be what you just said. Is that right? Is that correct?
Absolutely. Right.
Okay.
You got it.
All right.
We're on the same page.
Awesome. John, are we staying a little bit longer? Are we going to? I think we are out of time for the
time to wrap up the podcast, and we have a couple of quick questions for Brendan, and then let him go on his merry way for our bonus content.
All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning into the show. We really appreciate it. Brendan, if you wanted somebody to reach out to you or check out your platform, what would you tell them to do?
Really, the best way is just to go right to wiseagent.com, and from there you'll be able to contact us with any way that you feel best. We're on every platform, but you can find everything right at wiseagent.com.
And I will attest to that, because while we've been doing the podcast, I've just out of curiosity opened up all his social channels, and they all look lovely and populated with amazing content. So you should go check them out. Jonathan, how would people contact you?
Just go to the MailRight website, mail-right.com. Have a look at what we got to offer. We're always ready to have a discussion with our possible clients, or just join the Mailright YouTube channel. We're going to be producing a lot more content for the channel over the next few months.
Beautiful. And if anybody would like to find me, they can do so on Inbound REM. And for those of you who might be new to the show, just so that you know, John and I joke a lot, and that's what you heard us doing. So we were just taking some shots at each other, but it was all in jest. All right. So for those of you who would like to stay tuned, please move over to YouTube/mail-right. You're going to get to see the last 10 minutes of the show. They're going to be utterly fantastic. I just don't know what it's going to be, but it's going to be great. So you should go there. All right. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. Welcome back to the Mailright YouTube show. Now, it was originally the podcast. It was episode number 317. We're moving over to the YouTube video platform, and we're really grateful that you joined us. Before we get started, go ahead and smash the like button on the video that you're watching, or go ahead and leave us a comment down in the comments below. We would really appreciate it. So what do you think, Brandon? I saved one of the original questions for the show setup for the end of the show. Okay.
Okay.
What do you think the lead generation industry, like, where do you think the real estate market is going from both a lead generation standpoint? And since you've been, every time I've asked you a lead generation question, you've turned it into basically a lead flow or customer record management question. So I'm just going to save the trouble and say, where do you see information management going in the real estate industry for the next 18 months?
I think we're just going to see it stay on the same track. You're going to get more choices as a realtor or broker on where you're going to be getting your leads from, as there's so many new lead gen companies popping up with all different kinds of models. But then going back to the basics and is what we're hearing a lot of with all the coaches talking about for 2022. It's all about getting back to your sphere of influence and picking up the phone and generating your own leads is what there's a whole nother section out there going. So for us, like you said, wherever you get your leads from, we just want to be a part of the process.
So I'm going to throw you somewhat of a hot potato, because you've done. So I'm curious, because you went to NAR. I didn't make it this year. I've made it many other years. I did not make it this year, and you were there on the floor. You've talked to all these other real estate companies. If you've been doing this for 18, 19 years, so no doubt you have relationships like I do with other CEOs, other people who are running the companies that are in the real estate industry, so on and so forth. So you must have had some water cooler chat about where is the real estate industry going in the next 18 months. It just has to have happened. So what are your thoughts about where real estate itself is going?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think at NAR, it was just a lot of excitement to be back together. You just saw a lot of hugs, and even though it was definitely a reduced number of people compared to the normal years, it was still a big, massive show and big parties afterwards. And in general, it was a real positive. There's a concern about what's going to happen with the different court cases going on right now. There was a lot of talk about our buyers going to have to start paying. We're going to have to start charging every buyer that they represent, things like that. But on our side, it was mainly technology talk is what everyone hits us with, and it's really just a lot of requests on, hey, can you add these different features, or can you integrate with my favorite other technology company? And that's really what I love talking about, and so that's probably why I do steer the conversations right back to tech. I try to stay out of the politics a lot, and really it doesn't affect us too much, because regardless if the buyer has to pay their own commission or the sellers are paying it, they're still gonna, I think overall the general consensus is there's still going to be a big need for the agent, for the realtor to go out there and help guide the people through the process. And from our point of view, that's a big need. They're going to always need a system to work on, and
I,
so
I've
really positive.
I've got a question for you, Brendan,
Sure.
about your own business, really. Um, you've mentioned coaches quite a few times, so I get the impression that you consider them to be a very powerful influence to agents in general. Have you built up your own tight relationship with certain coaches, and has that been a methodology that's helped you build up your own business?
Sure, and I guess you've got the some of the big name coaches that we all know, but then there's a lot of trainers or consultant type people that are doing just as much coaching, from what we work. But yeah, that's one of the things that we saw a big need for early on was all these coaches and trainers are there preaching, hey, here's how you have to do it, here's the process, here's what you need to do, but they were never really saying, and here's a platform that you can do everything that I just now told you to do it on. So we kind of went big and started talking to them and realized that one of the things that the coaches or trainers were really good at is creating content for um, specific needs of their members. And so we in Wise Agent, we've been able to give them a place to, if you subscribe to a certain coach, any of our coaches or any of the coaches that use our system, we house their drip campaigns and their marketing letters, and so then only their members can actually access those tools. So we try to build a lot of things out. We added a new feature last year or maybe 2 years ago, a goal tracker, specifically because we've had coaches that were trying to set their weekly and monthly goals, and they wanted to be able to look back at the office. But now we see the brokers and the team leaders using that just as much because a lot of them act as a coach as well. So
just as another last question, I'm getting a bit of echo there. Is not exclusively, because obviously I mentioned Nine Desk and Follow Up Boss, which are two kind of competitors to your own platform. They haven't gone down this route, but there's been other kind of quasi competitors that include a website as part of their platform, like Real Geeks and like Easy Agent Pro. Where has the mindset been around that with your own company? Because I get, by our discussions, I get the impression that you don't intend to go down by providing a website. Another one is KV Core, that does provide a kind of website presence. You and like Follow Up Boss, what's been your attitude internally and externally around that?
Yeah, so a couple of them, like Real Geeks, I wouldn't consider them a CRM. They started off with a website, and then they have a little, a little CRM component to it. But yeah, that's definitely a major piece of the whole puzzle. And so we've gone as far as the landing pages where you can create, single family landing pages, or we do have some agents that are using a landing page as their website because they just wanted a single or 2-3 pages, that they were able to do. But yeah, we do not currently offer the websites. That's just a whole nother component, kind of like what Robert was saying. Where are you going to put your time and your developers, and what's most important? So what we've done is we've made sure that it doesn't matter what website you're using. We're going to make sure that that website will talk and work with Wise Agent CRM. So whatever system they're using right now, we are able to get those leads automatically coming in from the system. But at some point, will we eventually offer our own as well? There's a good chance of it, but is it something that we're going to have?
Oh, you mustn't do that. I would advise you strongly not to do that, Brendan.
Yeah,
right. I think it's time
if you sell enough of them, we won't have to, Jonathan.
We're trying to. I think it's time to wrap it up, Robert.
Okay, well, listen, guys, thank you both so much for hanging out and talking about tech. And Brandon, we really appreciate you coming on the show. Jonathan, as always, I really appreciate you doing all the magic. So if anybody is watching and they liked anything that we had to say, I personally am asking you, please smash the like button on YouTube. Let's break the algorithm. Let's also leave a comment for us. Let us know if there's anything that we could do better in terms of guests or the topics or anything else. All right. Thanks a lot. We'll see you
All
the
right.
next time.
Thanks for having me, guys.
And before we
Thank you.
close out, I want to say we won't be having a show next week because it's Thanksgiving. So I'd like to wish Brendan and my co-host Robert a really fantastic Thanksgiving. And if you're watching and listening to this, I'd like to wish you and your family a great Thanksgiving. And we'll see you the week after. See you later, folks.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye.